Hello, welcome to the Ask a Christian podcast. Why don't you take 2 seconds real fast to hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe. So do that real quick. Today we're going to talk about questions Christians can't answer because we have no answers at all. Just kidding, we do. So let me... Yes, so take 2 seconds. And by the way, there's the book there. If you're watching on YouTube or a video platform, you can click that and check that out because in it, there are answers to questions that Christians supposedly have no answers to. So we're going to talk about that for a little bit. So anyway, like, share, subscribe, post hate mail. I don't care. It's fine. Just do something. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if the answers we give to totally answer questions are just something you don't want to hear, and then you can tip over the chessboard and try to say we didn't answer a question. So just... Is that why no one listens to me? I just start chewing people out before they can even listen. It's not that bad, guys. Stick around. Okay, look. So if you're a Christian, yes, this is fine. We've got thousands of years of answers. It's perfectly fine. These answers are... We've had time to make them make sense. Well, how do you know if they're true? Let's just start there. There's more answers to questions than there are questions. Do you need a minute? That should be apparent, right? So there's only a limited number of questions, and then there's multiple answers usually for each of these questions. Not just religion, anything. There's many different ways... many different answers to many of the same questions. It doesn't make them all right, but I'm just saying. So, okay. Anyway, the point is, like, share, subscribe, click on that book. Okay, so questions Christians just can't answer. I can think of two off my head. Then I have another little list that I've already forgotten. But before we start, this shouldn't be a spoiler. Yes, there are answers to pretty much all the questions. When we talk about something like the Trinity or something, you're like, well, even Christians say there's a mystery. Sure. We don't, just because we don't know every single thing of the mind of God and how everything connects and works out, and we're like, well, at a certain point there's a mystery, it doesn't mean we have no clue. No, we can walk people a long ways down the biblical road to show and explain the triune nature of God before we get to the part where we're like, okay, this should give any good faith actor plenty of reasons and explanation, and we're showing right from the scripture, whether you believe it or not, it's right here in the pages. This shouldn't be difficult for you to grasp, but it is for so many people. But any good faith actor should be like, okay, look, I know that you say at a certain point there's a mystery left, but it doesn't mean you're just like, Trinity, I have no idea. It's like, okay, I see that you've done a very good job explaining the triune nature of God. And then you walked it to a point that's quite a ways down that road of explanation, and then you're like, now there are some things that we just can't quite comprehend, or our brains would explode. Anyway, so that doesn't mean it wasn't answered. And also another thing is, just because you don't like the answer doesn't mean it hasn't been answered. Why would God do this? Oh, here's the answer. I don't like that answer. You have no answers. No, we have an answer. It says it right here in the Bible. Again, even if you don't believe in the Bible or all the stuff, you should. But if you don't, the answer is right there in black and white. You just don't like the answer. So, with that, Mr. Chris, good morning. Do you have any idea what I'd like to talk about today? Before you could talk about, anything else. Yeah, it took me 2 seconds to run Solas off. The first question that I thought of whenever I came across this thing, it's like, Christians got no answers. Questions Christians can't answer was either the problem of evil and then the logical problem of the Trinity. So I thought, rather than have because if we expound on all this stuff, we'll be here probably until the rapture that people do or don't believe in. Don't you have an answer? You have no answers. No. Let's hold your hand as we walk through the book of Revelation and get you to a point where you're like, okay, look, now we are not God, so we don't know the finer workings of every little outcome, but we've walked pretty far down this road. You have no answers. Shh. Okay. Oh yeah, I guess I need to invite you. So Chris, let's we can pick some of our favorites and expound on more. And by the way, if you want to see excruciating discussions, just type in whatever on this channel, on YouTube, or probably YouTube's the best. It has a search feature. Search whatever you want, and it's not like we're unique. Everyone's done it. There are plenty of answers. So Search Problem of Evil. You'll find like 5-hour discussions on it. Search Trinity. Type in Trinity to the YouTube channel or askachristianpodcast.com in the search bar at the top right. Type in Trinity. You'll see long-form discussions that I guarantee there are more discussions than you're going to sit through. So we have expounded on many of these questions and topics over and over and over for hours, for years. So Chris, let's start off by just hitting the top points. Like, yes, here's the question, here's the answer. And then we can pick our favorites and go deeper. Chris, why would God let good things happen to good people? Or maybe phrase the question in the best in your favorite way. So like watch, you're gonna like not be there in a minute. So phrasing your best way, like logical problem or the problem. Yeah, the problem of evil, or why would an all-powerful God let bad things happen, or the best possible world. Like, which one of those do you want to tackle? Maybe the problem of evil.
Sure, we can do the problem of evil. Problem of evil is real simple. It's that God decreed all of these bad things to happen. It doesn't mean that he let them happen. Is that he purposefully decreed for his own glory for all of these bad things to happen.
Can you channel me in the way that I would nuance this to make Calvinists not sound like a monster, but I just don't have the energy for? Can you channel me in that and be like, wait, you're saying God commands rape and it's good?
Right. So there's primary and secondary causation. It's simply that people follow their own nature, their own free will instinct because of the fall, and that they are going to do who they are, and it doesn't mean that God directly caused them through his decree. It simply means that they are. Like what we like to say in compatibilism is that your true free will actions simply match the eternal and sovereign and secret decree of God. And so you are the one performing the evil, whatever it is, whatever Mr. Atheist wants to come up with, some chopping babies up into pieces and eating them. The person who is liable for that is the creature who is making that choice. It is not the God who enabled the creature to have a certain nature.
Or a simpler way to say that is, let's see, if God gave you his job for a day and he's like, do whatever you want, you have unlimited free will. Basically, the exact same scenario would play out how it already did. Or you could say, I like the thing that if people can nod and agree, then I'm happy to leave it there. Look, no matter who's decreeing what, if you're an evil person and do evil stuff, don't blame God. Well, why? He made this, he made that. Forget all that. All that means is reduce it down. Basically, let's just say he existed first. So without having to get super academic, anytime someone's like, oh, an evil person did an evil thing because they're evil. Well, actually, God decreed before the sands of time. Wait, are you saying God existed first? Move on. Is that fair? Without getting like super academic, or you can get super academic and explain like a whole course right now.
I mean, yeah, like the atheist may press you on that, but like, look, I'm just reminded of the contrast between Dr. Turek and Dr. White debating the same atheist. A lot of Christians are going to try to punt and be like, free will is why we have the problem of evil. Well, okay, did God give you free will in the first place? Well, yeah. Did God put the tree right there where he knew Adam and Eve would eat a tree and then baby cancer happens? Well, yeah. Whereas the biblical idea here is that God created everything, he decreed everything, he is in control of every molecule of the universe, and that evil is not first of all, evil is not even a substance. Evil is parasitic to the good. And so the atheist can't even define what good is in the first place, because good is something that comes from the character and nature of God and not their own fever dream of morality. Then the next thing is simply that, God decrees all things for his glory. That's it. It's very simple. And so the problem of evil, that they want to try to catch you on is just simply that they haven't thought it through.
I'm reminded of like I had a rabbi friend. That's how you know we're not anti-Semitic. We have friends who are Jewish. Just saying, get that on record. I I have a rabbi friend, and a long time ago, I'm like, look, man, why don't you even try to like soften the blow, right? Because we know like Judaism is not a proselytizing religion. They don't go out and try to make converts. Um, and I guess maybe as a result, maybe you want to try to be more winsome, hopefully without compromising convictions if you're a Christian, because your whole mandate is to go make disciples of all nations. Anyway, so maybe there's some play there that gets into the culture based on the religious mandates and beliefs. Anyway, this Orthodox rabbi friend of mine, when people would ask him about, it was really like slavery or evil or stuff like that, he would just give like one-line answers like, yeah, so. And they'd be like, but slavery. He's like, so? I'm like, well, dang. I mean, sure. I mean, I get that. It makes sense. But like, I know the facts. Like, I have taken much time to read your Talmud, which is not a fun read, but I've taken this time to try to explain the right way. Like, I don't need to defend God. Like, Christians don't need to defend God, but I mean, same God, Old Testament, New Testament. So it's like, well, we have the facts and we have all the right data for the slavery issue. So let's just present it in a way that accurately presented shows that it's not exactly like the horrors of their nightmare that they're imagining. So I mean, why wouldn't you do that? He's like, I just don't care. I'm like, well, gosh, I mean, that's very freeing because it's like, yeah, I guess do what you want, think what you want. But it's like, I feel some sort of obligation because if it was that way, and he's like, yes, the Old Testament slavery is worse than you can possibly fathom. I'm like, yeah, man, that's how it is. Roll with it or don't. But it's like, that's not how it is. There is a lot of nuance that I just feel bound by accuracy to present. Anyway, so I mean, on one hand, it would be freeing. So kind of what we're talking about now, on one hand, the truth of the matter is, all things are for God's glory. Like just one line, like, why do good things happen? Why did I get this job? Why did I go shopping at Costco? All for God's glory. Me eating a hot dog at Costco was for God's glory. In some way, sure. So everything that happens, God will be glorified, no matter how big, no matter how small. Okay, well, what about bad stuff? Baby cancer, for God's glory. But you heard me say baby, for God's glory. So on one hand, it's freeing because it is true in a way. Everything, I mean, it in every way it is true. It is all for God's glory. But then the proper way to nuance that so it doesn't sound like, wait, it's a good, you're saying the Christian position is it is good when babies get cancer. Is freeing to be like, sure, bro, whatever, it's all for God's glory. But the Christian has a different way of understanding that accurately in their brain from someone else that's just like, all they're hearing is baby cancer is good, Christians are evil. So on one hand, it I think behooves us, and I feel bound to try to nuance this out accurately. We don't need to carry water for God, but a proper explanation is, well, like look, it's kind of like the decree thing. It's like, well, God totally commands your steps. If you boil it down as low as possible, he exists first. Let's move on. Oh, well, then that's not exactly like someone wants to do good and he forces their hand to make them do evil. Exactly. But that takes a little more time, like we're taking now, to explain half a question.
But no Christian says that good is or that evil is good. Like no one's going to say baby cancer is good.
I know, but that's what they hear unless we explain. But then if we explain, it takes forever.
Yeah, it's just and then you have to get to the atheist. Like, well, what is good? Give me a definition of it. It's like so. Over the weekend, I saw a video. Do you know who Peter Boghossian is?
Of course not.
Of course not. So he's an atheist academic that kind of blew the doors off of academia a few years ago by he and Helen Pluckrose publishing a bunch of fake articles in feminist peer-reviewed journals that they just totally made up, but they used all the right lingo and they all got published to show that basically these quote-unquote peer-reviewed journals are nothing but a bunch of ideological nonsense. And he's not even a conservative. He's just an atheist. And the dude just starts using the Socratic Method on people. And somebody's like, oh, well, there's this systemic racism. And he's like, great, what's the system? And the guy's like, he's like, no, like, really? Like, what do you mean by system? Like, can you define that? And he just kept using the word system to define system. And he's like, No. And so this goes on for like a good 10 minutes where the guy is just completely stumped and he's got all of these very raucous opinions about systemic racism and he can't explain what a system is. And, and so Peter Boghossian's like, so is there any amount of data that would move you at all from your opinion? The guy's like, no. So it's like, I mean, the guy's completely brainwashed. It's just like, oh, okay. You can't describe a system. You don't even know. You can't define racism. You can't define system. You can't define literally any of the words that you're saying. You're just spouting a bunch of ideological nonsense. And it's the same with the atheist, right? They're just going to spout good, without defining good, where they're getting a definition of good. Love is love. And there's just, it's just an endless parade of brainwashing because, people want to do what is evil.
And see, this is the hardest part of answering these questions because the quick answer, like, boom, answer done. But evil! Which on one hand, it's like, it shouldn't be any sweat of our back, except, we're supposed to have, gentle and respectful answers for this hope we have. So be like, God says, bro, or because this, here's a logical connection, done, answered. But then it's difficult because I feel like I want to give people the full nuance on a silver platter so they can understand it in 5 minutes how, the Christian may have understood it for 30 years. And maybe that's a me thing. I don't know. I mean, it's somehow like trying to be peaceful and, give a correct answer that doesn't alienate them. That's the problem. It's not answering the question. For God's glory. Okay, let's try this one. Let's see if we can do better. And by we, I mean probably me. Okay, logical problem of the Trinity. It says problem right in the question, Chris. How do you deal with the logical problem of the Trinity?
So are you asking me?
No, I was asking Chris next to you. Yes.
No,
yes.
Well, you said
and then we'll say hi to Sean in a minute. But yeah, I know you like the logical problem of the Trinity, so I was throwing that to you.
Right. There is no logical problem of the Trinity because we know that.
How did it get that name?
Right. So, because if you have an Eastern Orthodox conception of the Trinity, you do have a logical problem of the Trinity. And so the entire LPT is against a certain version of the Trinity that doesn't actually make any sense. And so, yes, they are correct about that. So the Muslims have been beating them up on this for like 1,000 years, and they don't want to come off of it. And, and it's like, all right, fine. You guys have taken the L for 1,000 years on the LPT. They know you're going to take the L on the LPT, and you have no answer because your version of the Trinity is dumb.
Can you explain that quickly? Their version, why it's flawed, and then just
their version of the Trinity is the magisterial version of the Trinity. So they're going to say that God, that the Father is the fount of all aseity. And so then the next question logically becomes like, well, then how are you defining persons? And how is it that God, is not three gods at that point? Or, and so, it's like, how are you defining identity? And so they can't cash out identity of the persons from the Father being the font of the creation of the Son and the Spirit eternally somehow, eternal generation. And so, we still can believe in eternal generation. That's fine. We can take the processions. However, we need to know that God is equally ultimately both one and many, and that the Trinity is simply the expression of the one and the many in one package that describes our reality. And so when we're attempting to describe reality, we have to be able to differentiate between categories versus particulars. So, we need to be able to do that in order to describe reality. And the problem is that both the Muslims and the Eastern Orthodox and, all of the philosophy surrounding that and Middle Platonism and Neoplatonism and all this other nonsense, it just can't do that. It has no answer. The true biblical version of the Trinity, when you actually read the Bible, does not have this problem because God is equally ultimately both transcendent and immanent. He is both the persons and the essence equally. And so there is no logical problem of the Trinity. There's no logical problem of identity. because that argument just fails against the biblical version of the Trinity. So there you go.
Well, thank you, Chris. I was trying to get Prashant's link. Thank you. In your conclusion, did you explain the actual Trinity, or was that concluding with the EO thing? I'm sorry, I was tuned out for a minute.
No, that was the actual Trinity. The Trinity is the biblical Trinity is ultimately one and many, equally ultimate.
Thank you, Chris. Let's see. If anyone else has anything to say, Sean, yeah. Before we go on, let's. How are you doing, Sean? Good morning.
Good morning, Nate. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Yvette. Sean. Good morning, Oliver. Oliver, darling. Y'all got to be a Green Acres fan to know what that is.
So,
but when it comes down to the Trinity, I could care less what an atheist says. I could care less what an agnostic says. One is Unitarian. My God. Hebrew Israelite. I was just watching an interesting debate between some Hebrew Israelites, Captain Tazariak of ISUPK and the guy by the name of Captain Takata of ISUPK Atlanta. And their opponents were Adam Coleman and the wonderful, my dear friend BK Apologist. And just by listening to them, when you define terms, and that's important, if you're debating anyone, please make sure you define your terms. And then please make sure you show your sources. A good friend of mine says, source up or shut up. But when it comes down to the Trinity, now, one God, three persons. The Father is God. Jesus Christ is God. The Holy Ghost is God. Period. They are not three different modes, as our oneness friends would say. They are three different persons. They are all creator. They are all the authors of what we call the scriptures, the Old and New Testament. It's kind of simple and it's spelled out, and you can actually figure out in the Old Testament who is doing the speaking. Is it the Father speaking? Is it Jesus speaking? Or is it the Holy Spirit speaking? You will see that in both in the Old and the New Testament. Matter of fact, in a couple of instances in the book of Acts, we see the Holy Spirit speaking verbally. In the book of Acts chapter 13, the Holy Spirit says. And in chapter 28, the Holy Spirit is the one speaking. So it's something very different. And then when Acts 5, we see that when the Ananias and Sapphira lie and die, the penalty was real sharp and quick. Because Peter told him, you didn't lie to man, you lied to God. And he talks of the Holy Spirit as God. So it's very interesting that people can make these assertions without actual proofs. And so the Trinity is not a problem. It's never been a problem. At least not for me.
And then tracing back from the beginning of the Bible, on the very first page, there you get the Trinity, right there. You've got the Holy Spirit in one location, hovering over the face of the deep. You've got the Father, and clearly the Son saying, let's make man in our image. So you've got the first depiction of the triune God on page 1 of your Bible. And then you've got Jesus being baptized. Fast forward thousands of years. John baptizes Jesus. Jesus, physically, God the Son, here as a human, is underwater, the voice is calling out, "This is my son, in whom I'm well pleased." You have the Holy Spirit descending in the form of a dove in the sky. Same thing at the Mount of Transfiguration. Same thing, like Sean said, in Acts, and you see different depictions, but these are some you see the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit all represented at the same time. So there's not a mode, it's not a different time and a place. These are all simultaneously happening. So, yeah, there you go. So see, like that, the answers are very quick, but the explanation I want to give people for more information just means me rambling for 30 minutes. All right, Chris, let's do, okay. If God is all-knowing, do humans really have free will? Yeah, 100%. That should be obvious. That shouldn't even be a question. I can do whatever I want to do, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm doing it. The fact that God, the question says, if God just knows. So we're not talking about anything else or any decrees. The question is, if God is all-knowing, someone knowing doesn't have anything to do something with anything. I can be watching my child riding a bike, and I just know what's going to happen. It doesn't, and I'm watching from afar. They don't even know I'm watching. I'm like staring at my window, like making sure they're safe riding their bike or something. They can do whatever they want. I'm not there coordinating. I'm not going to guide their steps. Like, I know they're driving to one end of the road and coming back on the other end of the road. Just because I know that's like what's going to happen doesn't mean that they can do anything different. If they wanted, they could not go all the way to the end of the road. They could turn left, they could turn right. Just because I know that, or these are possibilities, which I'm not God, but all analogies break down. But the point is, if God knows exactly what's going to happen, if he's like, yep, they're going to turn right in a minute, and then they turn right, as far as this question is concerned, that's them as an independent actor. God knowing something doesn't have any bearing on this. If God grabs their handlebars and is like, nope, you're turning right, well, then God did that. But just him knowing, just the thought of knowing, no. It doesn't, it's like a philosophy bro thing that would cause a problem.
Yeah, it's not bare foreknowledge, though, right? Yeah. So, there is a sense in which God does determine your nature. So, your actions flow from your nature, right? So, in one sense, God did take the handlebars and make it go left because, he determined that your nature would do that, And so your choices, your actual free will choices, are flowing from the nature that God has given you, your created nature. And so, there definitely is, an establishment of primary and secondary causes. So God still is a cause. He is not the secondary, most near cause to the evil action. But it gets complicated pretty quick.
You're being too reformed on this. The question is just knowing, right? So we're specifically not talking about decrees or anything like this. We're talking about the thought of God simply knowing something has no bearing on your action. Well, actually, we can get to what you just said. Well, yeah, but now we've left the question to a new one. So we're getting in decrees and foreknowledge and guiding.
Why don't we just go back to the question that we're trying to answer, right? So because I think we're getting bogged down in the details, as you would say. So let's go back to the actual question.
Simply knowing something has no bearing on someone else's free will.
Correct. Yeah.
And then say you did a me, and you want to but look, if you ask the question this way, then here's how you would answer. Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Well, okay. I mean, but my original point though is that there is causation from God. It is just not secondary causation. That's all.
And then you get to compatibilism, where it's but if there wasn't causation from God, the exact same thing would still happen.
Yeah.
Just for kicks.
Well, you can say that, but of course, none of us can exist independent of God. And so
yeah, it's academic assent. Because you'll never be able to prove that because God can't stop existing. But if he could...
Right, so yeah, theoretically. Yeah.
The universe would implode and none of this would be happening right now.
That is correct.
Let's see. Why does God allow evil and suffering? That's kind of like the first question. For his glory. You mean evil is for his glory? Shh. Just take the Bible verse. God can work anything bad for his good. So just focus on that to keep it short. I mean, that's kind of like what we talked about earlier. Oh, does Yvette have a question? Okay.
Saying that Gabriella won't be able to attend this morning.
Let's see. Oh, who wrote a book? Oh, Prashant. Feel free to jump up here and talk if you want, Prashant.
It's very early where Prashant is, man. He woke up special to talk to you today.
I thank you, Prashant, but he's not talking.
Oh no, I mean,
Okay.
like to
This is an easy one. Why would we believe the Bible over other religious texts?
yeah.
The hardest part is taking out the implied bias, because we are Christians who do believe this. So how do you know your bias isn't getting in the way, Chris? Just line up all the religious texts and read them all. It should become apparent.
Yeah, it becomes apparent very quickly.
What
Anybody
do
who's
you
ever
say?
read the Quran or the however you say it,
Bhagavad Gita.
how do you say that?
Bhagavad Gita. I got to say it faster.
Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. That one. Yeah, that one. I can't pronounce that. It's early. I've had some tea. I haven't had any coffee.
Bhagavad Gita. I think Bhagavad Gita. I just got to say it faster. I mess it up. Bhagavad.
Yeah. Or any of the texts from Jainism or Taoism or any of this other nonsense. You put it all up against the triune God, and it's all going to fail. And all of them are going to have problems philosophically. So, like, they're not going to be able to cash out their epistemology. They're not going to be able to cash out anything philosophically, including the problem of existence. And so they're not going to be able to give you why you have, unity and diversity. They can't describe it. They can't come up with it. Same thing for atheists.
And I do find it interesting. I mean, the Bible is, like, no one can dispute. Like, it is, like, not even close. The most widely, in planet Earth history, the most widely critiqued, analyzed, criticized, studied, more than anything else. Just anything. That doesn't inherently make it true. Let's just start there. So this has been more scrutinized than anything else on the face of planet Earth ever. And yet it still somehow holds up. So I'm convinced people will see this for themselves. Just type in Bible contradictions and then go to something other than whyihategod.com or God killed my goldfish, now he doesn't exist.com. Like, go to, like, a real academic or theological source, and you will see, and, like, the contradictions or the evil or whatever you're looking at, the explanations or the answers for these are very simple. Like, they just come seamlessly together, and they don't require, like, an intricate level of, like, basket weaving or, like, knitting different threads together to make it make sense. It just happens very seamlessly. So, it doesn't automatically prove God exists because of that, but I mean, it's a lot more coherent in structure, as if it was given to us to be the Word of God from a God that totally exists, than any of these other religious texts. But my emerald tablet. Which one? The forgery or the original one that talks about some pyramid stuff? There's underground layers built by ancient aliens. Okay.
Bro, I love the Emerald Tablet. That's so great.
Enuma Elish. It's like people when
That's so crazy.
they speak English, but then they maybe their culture's from, like, another language or something. So they'll I'm not gonna do it, but you know what I mean. Like, when like you said, you have a Korean sister-in-law or something, or my wife's Filipino, and it's like they'll speak perfectly normal. Or, like, a lot of people, like, I have a friend from Mexico, and they'll do this. Like, they'll talk to you exactly how I'm speaking right now, like, not even an accent. And then whenever they say something like, I guess maybe a family name or a name of a word in Spanish or something like that, they'll totally, like, put the whole accent and, like, everything on it, just as if they were speaking in that language right then. And I'm like, I don't know. Can someone tell me why? Is it just because it's out of habit or it's forced? But it seems odd. Be like, hey, I'd like to go get I don't know, I'd like to go get maybe a Mexican restaurant and have a sangria or something. I'm like, sangria? Sangria! Wow, this is sounding wildly racist. Chris, do you know what I mean? Anyway, when people talk about, like, the Emerald Tablet or the Enuma Elish, it's like the Enuma Elish that's been debunked and disproven and discredited. Oh, I was talking about the Enuma Elish. It's like, are you trying to channel your ancient Egyptian?
Bad Bunny, like, harvesting sugarcane last night?
I didn't. I don't actually know.
I didn't watch it. I just saw some clips, and I'm like, are you serious right now?
I hate watched it, and then someone is like, at least I'm glad that he didn't come out in, like, a dress. I'm like, no. I actually think a dress would have been better. Like, I mean, I wish he would have come out and did like a little Nos thing, like dressed up in a devil costume, and like just went on full on Satan. That would have been more, I guess, like hard to deny and at least more entertaining to critique than whatever happened. It's like, look, my culture is. It's not going to say anything. Yvette, would you like to comment on last night's halftime show if you saw it?
Are you asking her because she's Hispanic?
Why would you say that, Chris? Is she? I actually don't know. I don't judge people, Chris.
I think she is. I could be wrong.
Yvette, give us your lineage and your ancestry, please, for the record. I'm just having a okay, look. My thoughts on it were, first of all, everyone's thoughts on it were this is the most boring halftime show trash we've ever seen. It followed by the most boring game. Like, I watch about 3 football games a year. Super Bowl is one of them, mostly for the food and the commercials. The commercials were awful. It was just boring. Like, you couldn't even...
the commercials were terrible this year, bro.
Like, I don't know if... Like, they weren't even, like, super woke or super... I mean, there was, like, subtle propaganda. Like, the Jewish one sponsored by Robert Kraft. That was trash. But, I mean...
But they were just mid, bro. Like, the commercials were just, like... Okay.
And I wonder if it's because they didn't want to offend anyone throughout everything, so they just intentionally made it boring as heck. You ran her head off, Chris. Make sure she's not offended.
Oh, well.
Anyway.
I'm sure she's not offended.
But it was so boring. All of it. I'm like, was that intentional,
yeah.
or did you think you were doing something good and it turned out this way? But, yeah, the whole thing was boring. It's like, look, I'm from Puerto Rico. You dumb white people need to learn Spanish. No, we don't. We're here. You wanted to make your fortune and get famous so you could leave Puerto Rico and come here. I'm sorry, Puerto Rico. So you could leave Puerto Rico and come here so you didn't have to be there. But now you want to bring there here. Like, this is like the same story. It's like people leave from third world hellhole countries and come here, and then they want to bring their third world hellhole country here. It just...
to be fair, Puerto Rico is part of the United States, so, you know.
I knew someone was going to do that. I didn't think it would be you, Chris. Yes, I know Puerto Rico is about to become our 51st state.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
But no, other legit countries, Chris... you know, where there's like different laws we don't agree with, where they're persecuted or family members have been like murdered and imprisoned, and they're like, this is awful, let's get away from that. Oh, okay, we're here in the land of the free. Let's do that stuff again that got my grandfather killed. Let's do that. From other countries, yeah. Chris.
Speaking of, oh my goodness. So Nate, did you see that the UK is about to elect its first certified Islamic terrorist to the parliament?
Oh, man.
The guy actually performed terrorist acts against the UK in Afghanistan and other places and has actually killed citizens of the UK, documented, and they're about to elect this dude to parliament.
I mean, it's par for the course. Isn't that what the Sadiq Khan London mayor said? Part and parcel.
Just, you know, I guess it's just, you know, like, hey, we live in an Islamic country, so. Have you been able to also look up the Amelia stuff?
The what?
Okay, so a few weeks ago, it was like all over the internet, like it blew up that the UK government, you know, because they're the communist government right now, right? Keir Starmer and all that. The UK government put together a little video game, like a role-playing game for kids to play to show them not to be radicalized. And it was called Pathways. Have you heard anything about this?
Nothing.
Oh my goodness. All right. So you need to do some research on it. I'm going to put you down a rabbit hole right now, and you're going to thank me profusely because it is both maddening, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the level of this propaganda, and also hilarious in the response. Because what ended up happening is that the Liberal government of the UK put out this whole thing called Pathways, where you do this little role playing game and you play as one of these two characters, and one of the characters is a boy, and he has they them moms, and yeah, it's great,
This sounds
and
great.
it's already great. And so then he's in his class, and so he wrote some kind of an essay, and the contest in the class is like, oh, who's going to get the job from their essay? It's like a fake job, right? So it's like, and the Muslim girl gets the job over him, and he worked really hard on his essay, and he's like, I don't understand. And then the girl next to him, this like purple-haired goth chick with a choker, looks at him and just goes, well, it's because they're putting the immigrants over white people and all this stuff, right? And he's like, really? And so it's just,
oh, you're talking about the AI thing.
I don't think it's an AI. Well, I mean,
Wait, you're not talking,
people did
character?
generate AI stuff of Amelia later on, but like,
yeah.
So this is the genesis of that. Is like, this character in this video game that the British government put out. They got hoisted by their own petard by the internet that was making Amelia the protagonist and making everyone else the fascist antagonists. And so now there's all these AI Amelia memes where you have like, somebody made a real life girl that looks like, or not real life, but an AI girl that looks like the character, and they're having her say all these things about British culture and, enjoying having a pint and all these other things. So it's just like,
okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so I've seen some of the AI stuff that's hilarious, and she's like a based robot. But so they took what was meant for evil and spun it around for good.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I didn't know you were missing that part of the story, because that's what makes it
was.
So
yes,
fun.
That is so funny. Good news, we did not offend Yvette. At least I didn't. You probably did. Thank you, Yvette.
I always offend people, so I'm used to it. Dang it. I just want my English muffin to toast. I'm getting a late start today, Nate. It's your fault.
Oh, wow. This is the only thing saying something good about the halftime show. Okay, this says, wow, Irish Times. I only followed this so I could hate read it. It's too much. I need to unfollow this. This is trash. I think I follow this to keep up on the Enoch Burke guy.
What do you get for following things in an Islamic country like Ireland?
I followed it most for that, and some of the Enoch Burke, I figured they would report on him because, Ireland. Anyways, and also, like, it's went, like, over the last couple months way farther. It's like, oh, UK, hold our pint of Guinness. Hold our pint of Guinness! I can't do accents. Imagine a leprechaun saying that. Anyway, so yeah, between that and I'm like, yeah, let's watch their demise in real time. So they have something glowing to say. Bad Bunny was joined by Lady Gaga for a star-studded Super Bowl halftime show performed almost entirely in Spanish and carrying a message of unity. Okay. The 31-year-old singer known as Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio took the stage in Santa Clara. It's going to be Mexico again soon enough. I can't do accents. What was that? Was that like anyway? In a high energy performance, that was the lowest energy. Celebrating his Puerto Rican heritage and culture. Great. You've got broken vehicles, tires on fire, and a bunch of people like looking like they have various diseases, just dancing and sweating in a hot jungle.
Wait, really? That's what? Like, I just saw clips of it. I saw the sugarcane
you
stuff.
Didn't
there was
watch
actually
it?
Tires on fire and broken vehicles.
Well, not necessarily on fire, but yeah, it was like the poor jungle country. Like if it's not a country, you know what I mean? Like in all like the like all the movies depicting like poor parts of the world, like Southeast Asia. I know Puerto Rico's not in Asia, but all that. It's like dude, you should watch it. Yes, it's like
I'm just gonna have to watch it, bro. Like,
it's worse than when you see things about Cuba. Like, at least in Cuba, it's like they try to polish up like vehicles from the '60s and make them look nice. This is like, I mean, it's really showing, except for the Latin dancing vibe. It's like my grandpa's farm in rural Oklahoma, and maybe a little whiter. But it's like just junk. It's like he just had junk all over his house. It was like broken down cars, broken down stuff, and it was just like in the middle of the woods. Like the only thing different is adding like if you add like a Hispanic skin on top of it is basically me growing up at my grandfather's farm in rural Oklahoma. That's the only difference, just with Latin flair and less dancing and STDs.
And less dancing than your grandfather's farm in Oklahoma. That's amazing.
But I mean, it's like you've got this high straw grass. Great, that's like the wheat growing next to where the cows grazed or whatever, the high grass there.
No, I think it's supposed to be sugarcane, isn't it?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I did see one of the funniest comments I read on Twitter was like, no matter how much Bad Bunny tries to cut it, he still looks super gay.
Super Bowl halftime show. Bad Bunny delivers star-studded performance carried message of unity. What message of unity? He's like, white people are gonna hate this. They need to learn Spanish. Super unifying, bro. Okay.
I mean, I'd like to learn Spanish so I could like figure out when people are insulting me.
I think you can tell a lot by, what 80% of communication is nonverbal. So, look at the eyes. Look at the eyes. That'll tell you a lot. And if they're talking to you in another language, they're insulting you.
Yeah, fair.
Okay, do we want to do one more?
Like why your wife only yells at you in her language?
I figure it should be discounted. Like if it's an obvious slight, like if someone's like clearly by their body language they're like insulting you. I mean, I guess be offended. But if it's something else, like people you don't know and they're not being overly aggressive in their body language, so it's like I don't know, like maybe they're people you don't know talking, you think maybe or maybe not about you across the room, and in another language, it's like, well, if they don't have the guts to say it to my face, I guess they're just a coward then if they are insulting me. I guess we'll never know, but I don't need to care. If someone comes like, speaking in another language and like tips your water over on top of your head or something, it's like, all right, well, explain why that's wrong with the love of Christ.
So like, do your kids speak Tagalog?
Say that again. I think you said it wrong.
Do your kids speak Tagalog?
Tagalog. You're whiter than me.
Whatever. Sorry.
No one does. It's only like the like Minoan, like the main. It's like the main official language, but like the rest of the southern islands, no, do not. This would be
okay. Well, do your kids speak whatever your wife speaks normally?
No.
Oh. So they have a hard time talking to their grandparents?
They only have one grandparent from the Philippines, and no, she speaks English.
Oh. Okay, never mind.
Most of them do. Like most people in the Philippines, like they teach English in school. I think my wife used to be a teacher over there before she came here, and I think she was a teacher of the college courses, and I think she said all their instructions were in English.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, didn't mean to go into that, but I was just curious.
I don't know what else to do. Do we want to do one more of these questions, or has that time passed?
No, we can do more
questions.
Should
we just see if we can make the greater world mad at us? Okay.
Oh,
why does a loving God...
I see that Sean is back. Wait, I see that Sean is back. And last week... he's left again. I wanted to ask him what his thing on the SAVE Act was.
Do you really?
I do, because I really want to find out what the argument for not requiring voter ID is. I'm just absolutely curious.
Does he not want voter ID?
I don't know. I want to find out. I want to ask him. He had some kind of problem with the SAVE Act, and I'm just wondering what it is.
I'm trying to remember, too. I think after I said something, he's like, oh, I didn't know that. I forgot what I said, though. I know... Yeah, see, I haven't... Like, I don't know a whole lot about it. All I know is what I hear, because, I only have so much time. But, yeah, it's supposed to be about, like, voter ID, but then it also, I think, ties into the real ID, which is a Trojan horse. It's a bad idea. It's going to come back and bite everyone.
Why?
We've talked about this. It's real ID before, Chris. This is... mark my words. This is another...
I mean, the real ID is super simple. I just brought my birth certificate and my I can't remember, like, two utility bills and, like, something else. like just to prove that I live where I live, and I don't know. Seemed like it wasn't an imposition, like we were making a national database of ID or anything like that. Because we have real ID in Florida.
I know. I don't like it.
Okay, so what's the problem? I mean, educate me. Like, what's the problem? I'm not arguing with you. I just don't know what the big dealio is.
Yeah, I remember. I'm brushing up on it again. I remember we talked about it a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I think, let's see if I'm correct. I gotta fact check myself, but I believe the problem is it's not just about like a state issued ID. It's a national ID that brings in some other. I don't know if it links it to your. I don't remember if it like links it to your social security number on like a national type level or something. But I believe the big problem is it, because you have to do it to fly now, right? Like you're supposed to have it or pay like a $50 penalty to fly. But I think it puts it in some other database, and that database can, in theory, that's what it was. Yes, that's what it was. In Australia and UK, that you can see their version of this. It's already happening. Yes, that is the problem with it. It's because you have this real ID, and it's like, now you're really, really verified. Well, what's the problem? I'm not illegal. I am who I say I am. What's the problem? If you don't have anything to hide, why do you have a problem? Oh, you'll be the first one slaughtered. It's because it really, really verifies you, but it also really, really links it to you. So now they can say things like they're trying to pass in Louisiana or Tennessee, the places that are already trying to say you have to verify your ID, and this real ID can or will or is starting to play a part of that. Like if you want to go to like gambling sites or porn sites, it's like, well, what? Yeah, why would you want kids doing that? Trojan horse. Parents should already be the ones in control of what their kids watch. They should set up filters. They should limit their children. If you can't figure that out, maybe you need to take a parenting course. It should not be the government's responsibility. Well, don't you want an extra helping hand? No thanks, because we're only one step away from being like, oh, well, it started as a safety act to protect children, so now your real ID was just to really, really verify you. Oh, just kidding. Now you can't fly without it. Oh, just kidding. Now you can't get on porn sites without it. Well, that's fine. I don't want that anyways. Great. Now you can't go on any websites without it. You can't get on Grok. You can't get on Twitter. You can't get on Facebook without it. Oh, well, that's fine. I'm not posting anything bad. Great. You want a job? You want a promotion? We have to verify you through Real ID. And fast forward 5, 10 months, years. Oh, well, it's fine. My government loves me and they're here to help me. Does anyone believe that now on any side? Anyway, so fast forward 5 or 10 years. We've had Real ID. Now it's ingrained. You made a post that we don't like, your Facebook account's banned. Oh, well, we don't need that. Oh, sorry, we're not going to be able to promote you. Oh, sorry, that Twitter post, that's going to get you a pink slip write-up. Now you're going to be fired from your job.
I'm okay. Same thing with Peter Boghossian, right? Like quizzing the wokey on systems, right? So exactly how does the fact that I present my social card and my birth certificate and 2 utility bills equal the fact that they can now use this information that they already have, that were already in government databases? How is it that we're linking all of this and now suddenly there's like social credit systems? Like, I don't understand the link between quote unquote real ID, which is just supposed to take care of, which doesn't even do a good job, but like it's supposed to cut down on ID fraud, versus like how they're going to institute a social credit system with that. I just don't know what that linkage is. That's what I'm looking for.
I don't know. I think this is why it's still crazy conspiracy theory, because I think we can see the linkage in, I think it's the UK and Australia. There isn't really one here yet. So I think that is the missing thing, that give it 6 months or wait until it happens, and then they're like, oh, this is how it was going to be done all along. So I don't necessarily think.
So you don't have a problem with like Florida's real ID. What you have a problem with is a national ID card.
Well, because of the potential to do exactly what I'm talking about with.
No, yeah. I agree. I don't think we need a national ID card. You're totally correct. Yeah, I'm not going to get an argument from me. I think we were just talking about 2 different things. So like real ID is just like the state level stuff that's just like, hey, we're trying to make sure that you're not an illegal immigrant, trying to get one by on us. Whereas what you're talking about is something like a national ID card. which is like papers, please. Right. So like, yeah, I can see it. There's a huge gulf of difference between presenting a couple of extra documents when you're getting your driver's license or your ID card as opposed to like a national ID card. I understand now. Okay.
I thought
So
I
you
said
wouldn't
that in
have a
like my first
problem.
sentence.
No, like I was still confused. So I'm just trying to parse this out. I want to be clear. So you don't have a problem with like the last time you had to go get your Florida driver's license, just bring in a couple of utility bills and your birth certificate, like to verify that you are Nate. Like you don't have a problem with that. What you have a problem with is a nationalized database that contains many, many, many fields on you that can be then used against you as an information
Basically,
tool.
to implement the social credit score type of
Yeah.
thing like that.
So like the SAVE Act has nothing to do with that. Like they don't want anything to do with national ID card, none of that. That's a talking point from the left. So the only thing that they're doing is saying that the states that have real ID cards, they need to make sure that people are citizens before they are eligible to vote. That's it. I mean, that's all the SAVE Act does. Is that it just requires voter ID, which like 80% of Americans support. That's why I was trying to figure out like Sean had a problem with the SAVE Act, and I hadn't heard like any kind of an argument against the SAVE Act other than Republicans bad. And maybe that would be his argument, I guess. But like I just wanted to know, to be fair to him, I didn't want to just put words in his mouth. I really did want to know like what his problem with the SAVE Act was. You feel me?
Yeah, I do, and that's what I've heard the issue with it is. And let's see.
Well, ask the Calvin bot. Does the SAVE Act?
Well, no, I'm asking Grok for this.
Is it
Calvin bot's not so
saved,
great at
or is it-
researching.
Oh, right.
Calvin bot's good for
Wait, is it-
Jesus. It's a little lacking, so I'm asking Grok.
Okay. Is it SAVE Act or the SAFE Act? I don't remember.
SAVE Act, Safeguard American Voter Eligibility.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So the SAVE Act, yeah, like ask it, like, is the SAVE Act a backdoor to some type of national ID scheme or something like that?
Oh, I'm asking. I'm reading.
Okay.
Let's see. That it ties to real ID, but not in a helpful way. Oh, well, I mean, it would tie into real ID because, I mean, the stuff required to register would, I guess, essentially be the criteria to get a real ID.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's it. So I mean it could be, I mean that makes sense. It could be seen as one step closer. It's like, oh well, how does this have anything to do with a real ID? Well, I mean the stuff that it would require to get it would essentially be the requirements for the real ID. So by doing this, you would effectively have a real ID now. So now it's kind of like it could be the national card that you're talking about. I think that's the
Right,
connection.
but it can't be a national ID. So first of all, one thing that we learned from Elon Musk, right, when he started tinkering in the federal systems, is that all of the databases were wildly out of date. They had tons of bad data in them, and they were pretty much unusable. And so first of all, because of the incompetence of the federal government, I'm not super worried about a real ID because there's no way they could do it. Like just given previous track record. And the other reason is that, like, you know, when they went to clean up those databases and they found, like, you know, the thousands and thousands of people getting benefits on Social Security that have been dead for like 30 years, or like people that are 150 years old that are still in the Social Security system that are clearly illegal immigrants, right? Like that have taken Social Security numbers that are active, but the recipient is 150 years old, that sort of thing. Like those types of things in federal databases are extremely common. And the fact is that nobody has gone in to clean any of that up, or to even fix the databases. The other problem that they found with federal databases is that none of the federal databases, they were all completely incompatible and couldn't be able to share information. And so like the Social Security information couldn't even check like a state ID because they're totally incompatible systems. The Social Security Administration, I think it was like, oh no, the Treasury couldn't interface with the Social Security information to see if that person was eligible for a check from the Treasury. So like there's just, and you're talking like the Treasury and the SSA. Like, I mean, these are huge government databases that essentially like just were such trash that nobody could do any cross-checking. So
Okay.
like they would just send out checks because that's what they're supposed to do, and nobody could even check to see like, hey, by the way, this guy is 150 years old.
So, I think I have the answer, but first of all, the biggest problem with this is you're like, you cannot be hopeful about the incompetence of the government. It's like, if there's a question, you're basically guilty till proven innocent. Well, we don't know if this is right about Chris. Let's just throw him in jail. How did he vote? Registered Republican, straight to jail. So, like, you cannot count on government incompetence as of being a benefit to you. You're on the wrong side of everything. So
you don't need a database to do that.
If you
like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, the database is not the onus to throw me in jail.
I'm just addressing the big GOP elephant in the room. If you're a Somali daycare, you're good on incompetence and not checking and being in on it. If you're on the wrong side of everything. A white straight Christian man and voted conservative. So they will be very competent. Like, did you see how competent they were on the J6 people? Like, they were very competent. Yeah. They had a list and they found everyone they wanted to find.
Yep.
So they could be competent when they want to.
They didn't need a database to do that. So that's my only thing is like I just don't think that like anti-technology stuff.
I'm somewhere between you and Greg. Like, if Greg was here, his head would be exploding all over you. I'm like not that bad, but I mean pretty close to it. So it's like, well, oh, that's not that. It's one more building block. Well, no, this one's fine too. Wait until they build the Lego castle of evil all around you, and you're like, oh, I guess individually none of these things were bad, but together, I'm in a dungeon. Okay, look. So
sure,
Sean's problem
like if your government turns bad, I'm just
turned bad.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. Well, I mean, like no one's actually getting thrown into prison right now for being a Republican. Like, you know, I mean, maybe
like right now, as in this week, or like in recent memory.
Well, I mean, I'm talking like during the Trump administration. It's not like the Trump administration is wielding the power in that way. Now, the Biden administration definitely wielded power in that way. But that's because essentially they took power. And the federal government, without any new laws or any new databases, already has this power to do these things, as we saw with pro-life activists, as we saw with anybody against the anti-trans madness. You know, like, it was quite obvious that the government, like you just said, like J6 people, like, they can just do evil crap and they don't need any more technology to do it. I don't think that there's another brick in the wall. I think the wall's already built. Like, they can just do whatever they're going to do.
Right, but right now you can't, like, okay, let me just bring this home because I want to get off of this because I'm bored with it. Okay, look, here's Sean's reason. Sean's reason is the issues would favor voter disenfranchisement, basically a high error rate. So even people who should be able to vote, they were born here or something like that, but they don't have a birth certificate. They for whatever reason, like they should have the right documentation, but for whatever reason they can't produce it. However that works. So there's a higher rate. I just. You can't stop me. I want to get off this. So the reasons don't have to make sense, but this is what the most favorable side says. People who legitimately should be able to qualify and vote, there's a high error rate or some kind of way they wouldn't be able to produce the documents even though they are qualified. Whatever. That's his side. The other side, the conservative side, is this could pressure states. This could lead to pressuring states to give up more sensitive voter information and things like that in a way that they currently are not bound by. This could lead to that. So that's the problem. So it's not a direct real ID necessarily tie, but it can be like that. So on the conservative side, it raises concerns that it could lead to the federal government pressuring states to give up more private information that they're not currently allowed to get from states. And on the liberal side, it's fears that they could alienate people who legitimately should be able to vote, but for whatever reason, I guess can't get the required forms of ID. Anyway, okay. There was one more point, and gosh darn it, I forgot. Yeah, through the real ID. Like, right now, there's not there aren't laws or like uniformed ways of saying to use social media, you have to submit an ID. You have to do this. Well, if you get the real ID, now it's national, but so it's like you have to submit your state driver's license for using Facebook or for using this. So this is like one dot connecting to the other. If you get something that's nationalized, it's now gives more authority and more privacy. They already have it, sure, whatever, but now it makes it for everyone. It makes it law. That they will get basically your full information and then require you to use that full information to potentially, this is where it could go, this is the concern, to basically get on the internet. So like at the ISP level, maybe they're like, if you get internet, now you have to submit, like tie your real ID to your Comcast or to your Spectrum or whatever account. So now if anyone's using that ID, everyone knows it. So if you're trying to anonymously browse the web, if you're trying to get a Facebook, a Twitter, whatever account, that's basically the concern, is you using the internet becomes you. Like if you drive a car right now, you're supposed to have an ID. So if you get pulled over, it's like, oh, well, we know this person, they have an ID. So to drive a car, you have an ID. You're like, well, that's good. It keeps people safe, except criminals don't follow it anyway, and there's like a $15 ticket if you don't, so it's not really a penalty depending where you live. So it's like, oh, well, why wouldn't we want that for the internet? You mean to use the internet, I have to have an ID? Well, if you don't have anything to hide, you don't. No, because then it's like, well, I want to post that Jesus is the only way to Christianity. That's going to ban you from Facebook. That's going to preclude you from getting jobs.
Yeah, this just doesn't make any sense. It's about it. It seems like it's done from a bunch of people that know nothing about technology or how it works to like scare people. Like it's just dumb. Like, okay. Of course you have to have an ID to have internet. You have to have a home address. Like you have to present Chris, ID when you get a freaking cell phone. Like, and then it's bills coming to your home address. Like I just don't. I'm not getting the like. We're going to be able to cut off your internet because of real ID. They can cut off your internet now.
No one's talking about the internet. I'm just like softballing like hypotheses at you. Like you're being too literal. It's like, yes, my cable company has to know my ID. You're being too literal with this because no one has the fully fledged framework. But would you like to give Mark Zuckerberg your ID to use Facebook, Chris?
You kind of already do.
Did you submit your driver's license to use Facebook? To Facebook?
No, well, I don't use Facebook.
Would you like to do that? Would you like to do that for everything?
I'm just saying, like, Reddit. Sure, but like, the other thing too is that if I put enough information on my Facebook, then they're going to know my identity already.
No,
people are volunteering that information.
You are a slave of the man, Chris. Stop being that.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to be common sense. I'm not
If you put enough information, a Bethel prophecy guy can get some markers and sell you a bridge somewhere in Arizona. Yes. If you put enough markers. This isn't about, well, if I voluntarily put enough information. This is being required by your government overlords who supposedly less laws are better laws, less government is better government. I would think would maybe be your stance. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's like, if I want to volunteer information about my dog or cat rescue or, drop a birth date, yeah, if someone's super savvy, they can dig that up. It's like, no. Before you can even do that, you're required by law to submit your ID to Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, you know what? Let me just try one more time. You're going to have to listen to me ask this question so it'll be quicker, and then maybe we can... Yvette, do you have a Jesus question? I'm irritated by this. Okay, just listen to me talk to Grok for a minute. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, talking to a friend who is usually sound of mind. I think they may be turning liberal. Okay, my question is, we're talking about real ID, as you know from the previous conversation, and I'm trying to present why this is not a great idea, and they are presenting a counter-argument that says basically the government has all this information anyway, can get it if they really want it anyway, so why does it matter? I'm trying to parlay this into the if you don't have something to hide, why does it matter? Type counter argument. Then I'm trying to use the best examples, I believe, research this, take as long as you need, from Australia and the UK, how basically what I'm trying to hypothesize could happen in the United States has already happened in Australia and or the United Kingdom, where you have to get some form of like a national real ID and then they tie that to make you use that to access the internet or certain social media accounts, and then they or are considering tying that to employment. So if you don't have this type of information, this type of ID, you can't get a job. But then if you present this ID, people are allowed to look at your social media posts to verify anything they want, and basically if your politics or your posts on X or Facebook don't align with what they think it should, they can prohibit you from getting a job. So basically this unholy beast is all tied together, linking your personal life to your identity, to your social media, to your potential employment. Okay, that's as I understand it, and I believe this is happening or happened already in Australia and the United Kingdom. Can you verify any of this? How much of what I'm thinking is absolutely true, and how much could be misconstrued, or what? Just tell me. That's how I talk to AI. Okay, in the meantime, this is going to take it a while. What's up? Would you like to maybe pay some extra taxes while you're at it? To be a good citizen, because why not?
I'm just trying to parse this out, man, like in the most fair possible way. Like, look, I mean, what already happens is people lose jobs over social media. Like, the government doesn't have to do it. Like, I just don't understand.
Mandated by law. Mandated by law. Not free will, not freedom, not at-will employers, none of that. It's like it could be tied to mandated by law. That is the point. Do you want more laws governing your life? Do you want more of a boot on your neck, or do you not? Like, if you start with, well, I'd rather not have more laws governing my existence. Let's start there. You may end up at the same conclusion, but let's at least start with, okay, well, I typically don't want more laws to restrict my freedom and ability to do things more. Let's see if I will continue that while we, okay. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, God, it's still writing. Okay, so I'm going to skim this, and I can send you this whole thing. I'm going to skim through this, and I can give you the whole readout if you want it, but no, you're not taking crazy pills. You're concerned about government overreach, and da-da-da is a valid concern and worth unpacking the facts. I'll break down your hypothesis based on what I found. Da-da-da-da. Short version. What you're describing, parts of this have happened in Australia, more so in the UK. I thought it was the other way, so apparently UK is worse, especially around age verification for social media and employers' checks and employers' checks on online posts, but the full unholy beast nationality, let's see, enabling political demonstration isn't fully yet realized. Political discrimination, they wouldn't say that, is not fully realized. It's a mix of specific age rules, independent employer practices, and a mix of voluntary systems with real risks of expansion. Mission creep. I love that term. That's been what I've tried to explain. Yes, like the next, kicking the can down the road for the next thing, or slippery slope. Yes, mission creep. Thank you, Grok.
Mission creep. Sean has returned, so I definitely wanted to hear from him on this. But okay. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so in the 80s, Australia proposed a national ID, and this was scrapped in the 80s because of backlash over privacy. In 2024, the Digital ID Act rebrand. So this is a thing now for accessing government services like welfare, passports. It's expanded to the private sectors for banks, job applications, for faster onboarding and background checks. It's more convenient, Chris. Okay, so let's see. In the UK, privacy fears from 2006 and then to 2010, and this was axed over privacy fears. They announced, in September 2025, it pitched it as a mandatory for proving a right to work to curb illegal immigration. But by January 26, let's see, it continues to get backlash. It's now, it's a digital right to work checks are still required. You can use e-passports or other docs, so you can mix and match, because I guess there's backlash. It's for app-based services like welfare, driver's licenses, privacy safeguards. It says there's no central database, and then it's like more mission creep stuff. These aren't full show your papers yet. Oh, apparently there's worse places. So these aren't full show your papers mandates like in some countries yet. India's province in India, which is required for jobs. People are worried about slippery slopes, data sharing leading to tracking. And, okay, so the closest we get is it's targeted at kids, like we were talking about here for the Online Safety Act. And then the hypothesis I just put forward is apparently what people are saying there, but it's moving further along. So, yes. Okay, so verdict on this part. Mostly true for Australia, which could expand. And UK is a different type of system, but apparently it's worse in that different type of system. So anyways, that's where we are, Chris. So it's basically, another verdict. Tying ID to employment, the mission creep. So mission creep is the big concern. So apparently the Online Safety Act in Australia is further along toward what we're talking about, could be coming here. The UK apparently is worse for whatever it's doing, but it's a different system than this type of real ID comparison. So anyway, that's where we are, Chris. This is one more step that could be a slippery slope or mission creep.
Yeah, mission creep. I still don't buy it. Like, I mean, this all sounds very, like crazy pants, like dispensational, like, oh, this is the mark of the beast. You won't be able to buy, sell, or trade without the mark of the beast, and it's real ID. And then they're going to insert it in your wrist or your forehead. Like, it just, I don't buy it.
Are you letting your lack of belief in the Left Behind series impact the very real problem of social credit score and digital IDs?
Digital IDs? I think digital IDs, like a national ID, is bad. We're not going to be heading there. Real ID is simply a bulwark against illegal immigration. I think that the SAVE Act. So, Sean, I specifically wanted to ask you about the SAVE Act because you had mentioned something, and then Nate didn't get to it last week, and I was super curious as to what your criticism of the SAVE Act was because I didn't get to hear it. So, I wanted to ask you about that. But social credit score. I'm totally against that. Like, I think that's a terrible idea.
This is step one.
This is step one. Right. But you would have to pass something into law in order for a social credit score to emerge.
You've got to start somewhere. This is somewhere.
Well, you could also say, so like one of the things my wife teaches in her college classes is don't post stupid crap of you being wasted on social media like while you're at college, because then that follows you into the workplace and you may not get jobs because of it. And so is that a social credit score? Like, I don't know.
That's the free market deciding. If Hobby Lobby doesn't want to hire you because they see you worship Satan and are blackout drunk on the weekends, that's their prerogative. If the government says you're not allowed to work because of this, I'm getting feedback in your car. This is literally like China having social credit score and like apps on your phone that you have to ding a bell. And like, oh, you did this thing we don't like last week. Well, we're not going to put you in prison just yet, but you've been docked 18 points, and now you can't get a job at this place. So if the private sector, if you as a business owner are like, oh, you are representing all of society like horribly and the worst of it, I don't want you representing my company, that's your prerogative as an independent business owner. If the government says, Chris, you're not allowed to hire this person because they did something that we don't agree with, even if you agree with it, the government doesn't agree with it, you are banned from hiring him. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't see how that would hold up in America with the First Amendment. Like, it just like there are those other things like the UK doesn't have a First Amendment. But like if we fall into the type of like post-apocalyptic hellscape that you're talking about, then like this slippery slope stuff isn't going to matter. They're just going to start rounding people up. Like, it won't matter. Like,
it's not going to be post-apocalyptic
yet.
My
problem with it is that right, but it won't get there because we're doing all these little microtransactions to get there. The post-apocalyptic hellscapes are a cliff that you jump off of, not, oh well, we had this very subtle, very long road to post-apocalyptic hellscape. I mean, the problem in the UK is not endemic yet. The problem in the UK is going to be that they're going to flip and become an Islamic country. Like there's going to be a sudden and complete shift in the UK to becoming an Islamic country, just like all of other European nations. Like it's not going to be, well, we passed these 83 laws, and the sum effect of these 83 laws is that we're now in a post-apocalyptic hellscape. Like I just don't see that being a thing.
You are hyperbolically strawmanning this. Like, we don't pass 83 laws. We don't pass one. Let's say like 3 or 4 over a 5-year period. Okay, great. And it's going to be an omnibus that you're like, we really need to support our troops. Don't you want to support the troops? Well, sure. Okay. Oh, look what else you just put in there. Omnibus bill. Like, all you need, like, look, we have the Second Amendment. Look at Virginia. They just elected a CIA spy, and now people with, like, certain guns, they are forbidden, apparently. I think it's already gone through. They're going to be forbidden and criminals if they try to sell those guns. Like, but they have a Second Amendment, shall not be infringed. So, laws are only as good as, the people in charge of them and preserving them. Okay, Sean, you and Chris talk. Everyone pray for Chris. Pray for Chris, guys. He needs prayer.
He is very frustrated.
I'm praying for both of y'all right now.
You're just so trusting. Like, you're not like, if you were like like minuscule and more trusting of other Christians with slightly different views, non-salvific than you, that would be great. We want that. Like, okay, Pentecostals, all right, well, look, you want to play with the snake on your own terms, that's fine. We're all brothers in Christ. If you're like that trusting of like slightly different denominations, that would probably be good. But like, nah, the government, they're fine. It's just a couple more laws. It'll never happen. Oh, Lord, remove the scales from this man's eyes.
Anyway, so
all right,
Sean, what I wanted to ask you about was the SAFE Act and or the SAVE Act. Sorry, not the SAFE Act. The SAVE Act and you had some kind of a problem with it. I just hadn't heard what that is.
I said my main problem was why do I need to? Part of it to show my birth certificate. I already got to show my birth certificate to get a driver's license, state ID. You have to present your birth certificate, and it's got to have that raised stamp on it. So I know that to be a fact. So I've already got to go through them changes, and it used to be to get your birth certificate was $10. So depending on the state you were born in, they could be as high as $125.
Okay, so I'm not seeing the. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing the connection between the SAVE Act and the birth certificate. The birth certificate is just necessary to get a real ID, which real ID has been on the books for like 15 years. I don't see what that has to do with voter ID. I'm confused.
Okay. When you go into the DMV, Secretary of State would have in Detroit, in Michigan, it's called the Secretary of State. Most folks just call them the DMV or around the country. And you have to get a state ID or driver's license. You have to present the birth certificate to get the ID. That driver's license is my real ID.
Yeah.
Or states. I was just recently able to get my driver's license back because of health issues. But having a driver's license, being able to go to the polls, all I had to do, and I was from town. I've been for the past 42 years. I've been voting, hitting every election, whether it's local, state, or federal. I go to the polls. That's all I do. Say, hey, here it is. Whoop, there it is. See it. Look at it. Sign. See my name. Go to my name on the poll. See that I'm a registered voter. Boom. I'm done. I go to the poll. Vote for who I'm going to vote for. Vote for whatever measure I'm going to vote for or against.
Yeah, we do the same thing in Florida. We just present our driver's license or our ID, and then they look
Okay.
it up on the thing, and then it's done.
Okay.
It's not really
But
different.
yeah. But for the SAFE Act, they want you to, from what I understand, they want you to present your birth certificate to vote.
No, that is factually incorrect. It's not in the actual law. What they're saying is that you have to be able to show proof that you're a citizen, a real ID, like i.e., when you got your driver's license back or your ID card or whatever it is that proof. It's just saying that we now need to have, because of the massive amount of fraud that has been proven from
Wait a
2020.
second. Hold it.
That we now
How
need to
much?
have national voter ID.
That has been shown to be 0.0001%.
No. They just came out with a whole lot of new information, man. So there's like they've shown massive, like by tens of thousands of votes in Georgia and all these swing states.
They have said
they've got
They've said
they've got actual evidence now. Like in the last like 6 weeks, actual evidence has come out, and like people are like, "Holy crap!" Like even Bill Maher.
State.
Well, no. But even
Georgia
Bill Maher,
is a Republican-run state.
Right? But Georgia's the districts in
governor
which
is Republican. The state,
sure,
the
it
House
doesn't matter
is
though, because. But it doesn't matter. Like that's another talking point. That's not a fact. Like
that's not a talking point. That is a fact.
It is. But again, it's just a talking point to say that they have a Republican governor. But the problem is that
it's the majority in the House and the state Senate a Republican. They have to
Sean, do you want to actually hear the argument, or you just want to shout it down?
I'm not shouting it down. I'm just hearing. I heard what you're saying, but I know what I'm going to by facts as well.
But I haven't even been able to give you the argument. Like the argument is not that it's a Republican state and that they've got voter fraud. What has been shown is that in Fulton County, which I believe is Atlanta, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So in Fulton County, so like where the Fulton County machine controls voting, it doesn't matter if it's a Republican state in every other county. It's that all of the fraudulent votes are going into certain very state legislature or the makeup of the executive branch in the state. It's that the machinery, and this is the same thing that happened. I'm from Chicago. This is the same thing that happened in Chicago to steal the 1960 election in favor of John F. Kennedy, when that has been absolutely proven to be a stolen election, where the Chicago actually produced 100,000 votes to make sure that Kennedy won the election. Like, and so Illinois was a swing state at that point. So like the blue districts, the counties in which these things are occurring are the actual problem. Where the fraud occurred, it has nothing to do with the makeup of the state legislature or the governor. And so that argument is simply a red herring to bring our, and I'm not saying you're doing this on purpose, I'm just saying like that's a red herring to bring our attention away from who's actually running the voting in those blue counties, which is Democrat machine politicians that are manufacturing votes. And they just showed proof. They have actual evidence, like physical evidence in hand, that there were tens of thousands, I think over 100,000 votes were changed in Fulton County alone. You can look this up for yourself. I encourage you to do so.
I think they got like 300,000 or something.
Yeah, it was it was a crazy number. And I'm driving, so I'm doing this off the top of my head. But the idea here is that, again, and whether or not you believe in election fraud or not, that's fine. The idea, though, is that 80% of Americans believe that you should show a voter ID.
Listen, do I believe that election fraud occurs? I'd be a dummy not to. All right, and that's on both sides. All right, so I'm not. You say you're from Chicago. You had a doggone mayor caught by the name of Daley.
Yep.
Okay, so I know that he was a crook.
Everybody knows he was a crook. Like he was open about it.
Yeah, but he kept getting in there.
Single-handedly, it is historical fact that he single-handedly handed the election of 1960 to John F. Kennedy. It is
Guys,
historical fact.
Can I make a final pitch for anyone who cares real fast? Because while you guys have been bickering like old ladies, I've had time to consolidate some stuff. Let me run through this real fast, and you guys can continue talking about 1960s politics. Sound good? Okay, so Chris, here's my final pitch. If you want to submit to the government after this, then I will pray for you. Okay, so this is going to cover SAVE Act, Real ID, and then the potential for mission creep, the slippery slope. So the SAVE Act, passed in 2024, requires proof of citizenship, passport, birth certificate, Real ID compliant driver's license. So here's step one. You can use a Real ID, but then it overlays. So federal voter registration. It builds on Real ID by mandating states accept only compliant docs or equivalents. Critics argue this combo creates deeper issues. Here's the breakdown. Expanded federal ID mandates slippery slope to national ID. SAVE Act pushes citizenship verification and everyday voting on top of Real ID's federal travel access rules, which is already a problem. Anyway, remember when you didn't even need passports to go to Mexico or Canada or fly? And then they're like, oh, now what? Anyway, now it's like you got to have Real ID or pay a penalty. How long is that going to be before you just can't? No penalty. You just can't. Okay. That's already happening. So, okay. Combined, it normalizes requiring government-issued photo ID for core civic rights, like voting, which some see as eroding anonymous voting traditions. That should be of interest to you. Digital ID fears. Yeah, fears, potentials, right? Mission creep. Future itinerations could go fully digital, app-based, biometric. Proponents of paperless systems like EU's EIDAS or India's, that province we talked about, argue efficiency, but critics worry tracking. Every scan, login, logs, location, time, activity. More government having your stuff, but don't they already? Centralized control. One revoked digital ID could be locked out of everything: voting, flying, banking, services. What wise man just said this exact same thing? Okay. No opt-out use. You lose your phone, ID, no voting, travel, unit. You can't do it until you get a replaced. So if you lose your phone or whatever mechanism you use, probably a phone, you're screwed until you get a replacement. Can't vote, can't travel, can't park, whatever. Can't get a Waymo to drive you to a place to get a new phone, to get a new app. Okay, privacy and surveillance, obviously. Data sharing explodes. The SAVE Act requires states to cross-check voter documents against federal databases. Real ID already links state DMVs nationally. Massive honeypot concerns. Huge database of personal data, date of birth, name, social security, address, citizenship proof. Prime target for hacks. Oh yeah, I just got this. It was an Equifax thing. I have like a free year of them subscribing me to like some fraud thing because they got hacked. Great. So Equifax, OPM, breaches already exposed millions, so get ready for more of that. And then when it starts with voting, flights, it expands to welfare, jobs, guns. Some states already require Real ID for banking. Digital extension, biometric, digital IDs, facial scans, fingerprints, could enable real-time surveillance via facial recognition at checkpoints. Doesn't sound good. Halfway done. Access barriers for vulnerable groups, and this is what Sean was talking about. Document groups. 10 to 20 Americans lack easy access to birth certificates, passports, rural, poor, elderly, homeless, recent citizens, whatever. And then he was talking about the cost. So time. Weeks, months for records, especially if you're born before 1980s. So something like that. Like probably a bunch of people in the Palisades. If this was enacted right now, a lot of people in the Palisades that may have had these documents in a safe in their house that wasn't fireproof, great. That's thousands of people with potentially these documents that would be necessary, all burned down. So if you had to go get this right now to vote in the upcoming election, you may not be able to get this stuff replaced. Anyway, disenfranchisement could suppress millions of voters, studies estimate, whatever, stricter, okay. So digital divide. Digital ID rollout assumes smartphone internet access, which excludes up to 20% of Americans, mostly rural and elderly, and some poor. Even
wait a minute. How does Real ID assume smartphone access? Because we had Real ID before smartphones. That makes absolutely no sense.
No. This was talking about digital ID. I'm going
right,
through.
But again, that's not in the SAVE Act. Like,
Chris,
I don't understand why we're talking about crap that's not in the law.
Chris, I said I'm taking on all of these things. I'm taking on the SAVE Act. I'm taking on Real ID. And I'm taking on the potential digital ID. I'm going through all of these things. You gotta pretend I am John MacArthur, and you are hanging on every word I say intently. I'm cycling through each of these and giving them each their own.
Except he doesn't go on flights of fancy about digital ID that no one is promoting and doesn't exist.
Save ID accepts real ID as one of these things and can be tied to unifying a national ID that you already said you don't like. If
and
this
could
happens,
be, but isn't because no one is proposing that.
Bro, I'm with you. I hear you. I don't think you hear me. How many more times can I say slippery slope, mission creep, and could? Like, no one has done this. There is not a digital ID in America right now. There is not. There could. Slippery slope could lead to. We're all on the same page.
Slippery slope is a logical fallacy. That's literally
not with gay dudes getting married. Not with gay dudes getting married. It's like, oh, it turns out they're like, no, you're just full of hate in your heart. Don't worry about what we do in our bed. Oh, now we're in your face doing drag queen story time, raping your children. You're not
like the reason it's a logical fallacy, Nate, is that it doesn't necessarily mean that the slippery slope will always be the case.
I know. Why are you fighting me on this? You're like my wife. Look, Chris.
Because I'm just trying to look. We're talking about a bill that has 80% support from the American public. Like
I'm leaving you and Sean to deal with the SAVE Act. I'm hitting that. I'm moving on to the bigger thing, which we started about real ID. Look, by the time I'm done with this, there isn't. It's not happening. It will never happen. The only question you should be left with by the time I'm hopefully done with this is, by the time I'm done, what percentage of thinking do you think this could happen to? If it's fairly high, you should be a little more concerned. If you're like, wow, that's like a 1% chance, that will probably never happen, then be as you are. So you can't say it won't happen. You can't say it is happening. We can say, well, where on this scale do you put the likelihood of it happening? I think it could be fairly high. You seem to think it basically is 0.1. So anyways, okay, so the digital ID concern, not SAVE Act.
Are you asking me that? Like,
not yet.
Right now? Oh, okay,
not yet.
Okay.
You and Sean could fight about SAVE Act. We moved on to the potential bad things that start from this poison seed to get to real ID. And then from real ID, you could potentially go further. Okay, so then you've got, it doesn't solve fraud, apparently, because Estonia. So let's see. It doesn't solve fraud, studies, non-citizens voting, even rarer. It's easier to prosecute people without digital ID mandates for some reason. And then it basically gives examples of Estonia hackers exposing voter data and all this other stuff. Not to mention our last election was done in like freaking Serbia. Like, why does Serbia, what's the capital of Serbia? Belgrade. Why do they have to be involved in running American elections? That's interesting. Anyway, so apparently it doesn't make anything more authentic or solid because there are still tons of hacks. And you already said the incompetence of the government. How well do we think the government security is? Like, not very. That's where I'll agree on incompetence. So it probably... Anyway, so there's still hacking concerns. You're not getting away from that. Loss of anonymity. So these are the big ones. The ones I think are big. Loss of anonymity gives your information everywhere on a national level, even to people. Like, it could lead to private institutions that do not deserve it. I didn't have to give my social security number to create a Facebook account, but you may. Okay, government overreach. And this can lead to, it talks about like leading to like national gun registries and databases and all this other stuff. It's just unconstitutional, like small government, like stay out of it. You don't need to know any of this stuff. Okay, so, and then it gives a bunch of evidence from these critics about stuff like that and the hacking and all this other things. So, supporters say, you may want to take this line, it proves citizenship for voting. Non-citizens can't vote anyway, but it verifies it. Just like airport IDs. So that would be your talking points. It's faster. It's fraud-proof voting, except Estonia and the hackers. Evidence from critics.
No one's suggesting any of those things. I don't know why it's straw-manning the position.
Okay, right. So the SAVE Act, only just letting people vote and it will go no further, versus total digital tyranny ID from this. On like a scale of 1 to 100, where do you put the potential that one thing could lead to another and end us here?
1.
I would say if left unchecked, let's say around like 60%. And let's say if...
not even close. Like, all this is doing, all the SAVE Act is doing, all it's doing is saying that you've got to present voter, like some type of identification at a polling place, man. It's not mandating real ID. It's not mandating any of these other things. It's simply saying you got to show some type of identification, like i.e. a picture ID to vote. That's all it's doing. And then we're getting all call up and
Don't
all
we
of
all
these, like,
don't all
Chris,
states
all you wanted to do
automatically do
was
that?
marry your husband and not have anyone worry about what you and your husband did in the privacy of your bedroom. That's all you wanted, and now you have it. You can do that.
Oh my gosh!
But now you're
but,
waving flags down streets.
Wait. Why are you against people having to show picture ID to vote?
I think it could get into voting concerns, and people could use that against them. And I don't know how I have to explain this. Like, I think it could get into...
So then we should just cede all elections to the Democrats so that they can actually usher in the hellscape that you want, because they're allowed to cheat indiscriminately for the next 30 elections.
No, you do paper ballots, hand counted. You don't need a picture ID.
But why? Because then I could walk into 17 polling places and have a list of people and just go and vote for them.
There's still other markers. There's still signature.
There's not. Like, do you not understand how the vote fraud occurred in 2020 to steal the election? I guess
primarily voting machines and 1,000 ballots per, like, not even creased because they were never put in envelopes.
Machines. It was absentee ballots and ballot harvesting, Nate. And so, like,
ballot harvesting is what I just said.
Right. But the whole thing is, if you eliminate ballot harvesting, which the SAVE Act does, and if you eliminate the ability to send out massive numbers of absentee ballots, and you require people to show at the polls on election day, not 80 years prior, to go ahead and vote and show ID, then it discourages the amount of massive election fraud that has been going on. And what you're saying is, no, we shouldn't do that because of some rigmarole that may occur 30 years in the future because of the SAVE Act being passed.
I have a better idea.
We're going to have some kind of dystopian future where everybody is like beholden to the government for their ID. Like, it's just silly.
I have a better idea. Let's show voter ID that doesn't need to be a real ID, and all the stuff that people are worried about in the SAVE Act, get rid of it and be like, hey, bro, just show voter ID. Just get rid of all the stuff that people don't like.
What is the voter ID? What is the mechanism? What is the system, dude? Is it that you show a birth certificate? Is it that you show, 2 forms of, like, where your home address is? Is it exactly the same as real ID?
No, I'm saying you can show this isn't about real ID, Chris, as you keep reminding us. It's about the SAVE Act. It's about a photo ID. Show your government-issued, state-issued driver's license, and then if it's a place like California, actually use the fraudulent laws and bring the bricks down on them to say you have to issue, like, there are qualifications to issue state-issued photo IDs. Like, you can't just issue it because someone with a turban on their head says, I'd like an ID, please. Like, you need to show proof and get it from your state. Your state is just fine. You don't need it to be in a national database. You don't need to be in a national system.
But it's not in a national database of the SAVE Act. It's simply that it requires you to show voter ID at the poll. Read the thing instead of, like.
But you just brought up real ID again.
But again, it's read the actual act as opposed to all of the libertarian fanciful nonsense that's like, well, this could do this or it could do that. Yeah, it could make, like, unicorns fly out my butt, I guess. But, like, you got to show some evidence for that. Like, it's just evidence-free libertarian nonsense to say, well, we just don't need to secure elections. We can just let people vote 8,000 times, and it's totally fine. And when Democrats steal all the elections and throw all the Christians in gulags, I guess Nate has the warm comfort of knowing it wasn't done with real ID.
Let me say this. To go register to vote, you have to show your ID.
That's 1,000,000% not true. They have voter in most places.
Time out.
Yeah, you don't.
Time out.
Yeah,
what? Time. I know what happened with me, and I've lived in different states in this union. And in every state I've lived in, I've had to show my ID to go register to vote. So it is true.
It's simply, I mean,
I'm
that could be
speaking
your
from
anecdotal
experience.
evidence.
I'm not
I can
speaking.
literally show you the laws
I'm
on
just
the
not
books.
reaching in my. Well,
That's
I'm
fine,
not.
but like I can show you
No,
the
ain't no
actual
fine.
laws
Well,
on the books
basically
in
you said I
states.
wasn't telling the truth, and I just showed.
No. You're not, I'm not saying that you're not telling the truth. I just said I can show you the laws on the books where that's not true.
I'm telling you as a
You're
You're
voter.
telling me your personal experience, and I'm telling you I can show you a system in place with laws on the books that completely abrogates what you're saying in many
Okay, I
states.
live in
There are
Ohio.
many
Wait,
blue
wait, wait,
states.
whoa.
There are many blue states in which
Listen
you
for a
can
second.
just sign up
Just listen for a second,
right
Chris.
at a place without
Why don't you
any
just listen?
ID.
What's the problem with you listening? You ain't gonna let you. I'm a grown man. You ain't gonna talk to me all the time. I said I had to show ID when I lived in Ohio. I had to show ID when I lived in Arkansas. I had to show ID when I lived in Michigan, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, and now Alabama. I've had to show ID in each state before I registered to vote.
Right, and I'm just saying no one cares what your personal experience is. Show me
Well, I'm just
actual
giving you
laws on the
facts.
book.
I'm
But
giving you
that's not a
facts.
fact.
I'm
It's
not.
an
I have
anecdotal
no
Hang on
reason
one
to
experience.
lie
second.
about
If
this.
you go to a
I
actual
have no
supervisor
reason
of
to lie
elections,
about this.
I'm not
Okay.
saying you're lying. My goodness, you need to. Sean, stop raising your
giving
voice
you.
and listen for a
I'm
moment.
not gonna listen to
No
no
one is
foolishness.
saying
I'm
if
tired
you're
of foolishness.
lying. What I'm
Let's
saying
hold
is
on
there
a
are
second.
different.
So
When
first,
you say that, when I gave you from how many different states did
how
I
do I
just
mute
number?
everybody? Okay, look. First of all, Chris, trying to read the Ridiculous Save Act, it's like, this is how it always is. This are the problems in, like, sentence 3. It's like, this is fine, must have voter ID, must have this sounds good, must remove from ineligible roles, must to comply with the Real ID Act of 2005. Oh great, what's that say? Now you gotta go track that down, and I guarantee it's gonna have like something else. So it's like, you have to leapfrog your way. It's like, oh, this is a simple page. Oh, but then it has to be complying with this other thing that you now have to go dig into and read all of that, and then all the other like little tangible things that fall off that, you have to go chase those down too. Cloud Rider, I don't know you. What's up? Or maybe I do know you, but I don't know the name.
I'll just mute and let you finish.
Oh, you're very quiet. Who is that?
Friend of, I know Chris from other places. I'm just gonna mute.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I just finish your, I guess your soapbox, I guess.
My soapbox or theirs?
Oh, finish your point. That's what I meant to say.
Oh no, I'm done. Like I'm not gonna chase down all these different leads. It's too much. All right. My time's about done. But Chris, Sean, continue your fighting. Go ahead.
Sorry, Nate. Seems like we get for the past couple of weeks
Is my audio loud?
there's been an argument of contention over this over certain things, but I just wanted to say it's not that I'm very passionate, and when I feel like you calling me a liar, when I presented the 6 states that I've lived in, and said that I've had.
Oh, okay. I'm done with that. Goodness, we should have just stayed on the Christian questions. Okay. Look, if I am a little too untrusting of people, by the way, I love you, government. You guys are great. You oppress me for my own good. If I'm a little too untrusting and skeptical, Chris is completely the other way. Anyway. Like, share, subscribe, or don't, whatever. Yeah, hit the like button. Go ahead and hit that button. It's not that bad. This was the Ask a Christian podcast where we fought about politics for the last hour. But at least we covered some Christian ground in the beginning, so we're going to call that good. All right, everyone. Have fun.